I'm Matt Holley. I'm an e-learning lead at River Tees Academy, Multi-Academy Trust. So basically, we are an academy of 5 schools, and we are an alternate provision. We deal with learners that are either excluded from school or at risk of permanent exclusion, and we also deal with learners that have got medical needs. What we did with Frog before lockdown is that we tried to create quite a lot of different areas within Frog so that our learners could use different aspects of it. So that could go from careers to our Thrive approach that we use, our Send, all of our different subjects. So we'd house them all in the same area. What we'd also build is a student area for the students, so that would give them the useful links. It would also give them links to, similar to what Adrian was talking about with the COVID-19 and the well-being. So we created a well-being page where that had the links as well. We did exam revision and the home learning. We developed just before lockdown the CPD area so that our staff had a lot of the CPD that they needed. And different areas. So these are our subject areas. And we also developed a careers area. So this was done probably about a year ago, actually. I was showing Lucy this last time we met. And it's basically, this has been fundamental for some of the learners that are leaving school and going on to post 16 and haven't had us there, giving them the advice that they needed. So they've had all access to the local colleges around the area. They've also had what is happening in the local labour market, which is great for them to know what jobs are around, say Middlesbrough and Newcastle, where my school is. But what we've been focused on a lot of is our positive mental health and emotional wellbeing site. So this was designed by our mental health nurse that we have in site and on in our school. And basically what she wanted to do is create an area to support with the wellbeing of our staff. So within that, there is forums, there's chat areas, different things for staff to be encouraged. There's inspirational quotes. There's many different areas. There's links to lots and lots of different websites and phone numbers for staff if they ever needed it. We've also created, or trying to create, because it is a vast amount of work, an A to Z of all the mental health conditions and learning difficulties with supportive strategies available, so that we encourage staff to understand and be aware of what's going on and what the different needs are for the learners. We do express that it's definitely not a diagnostic tool. What it is, it's an area for support and an area for awareness. So they would be able to find different areas where they would see overviews of what maybe the condition was, what symptoms they might see, certain positive interventions that could be put in place. But also within them interventions, there would be case studies that people have made within the school of how them interventions have worked, what the learner was like, and different aspects of how it worked. So then we got to COVID, and Frog was fundamental in how we designed our curriculum when it came to COVID. Yes, we didn't close, but we did have quite a few learners that were working from home. Because of that, we needed to really figure out how we could then get them to access Frog completely from home without the support. Yes, we were doing phone calls for wellbeing, but they needed that help within Frog so that they could support their learning. But our rapid response, first of all, was to make sure that our staff definitely knew what was going on. There was so much uncertainty, and every day things changed within the news. Policies would change constantly. So what we did is we created, instead of having a handbook, we created a COVID-19 site where staff would be able to see rotas, they would be able to see what they need to know, school procedures, GDPR, what we were offering to the learners, and then just useful links so that they could keep up to date as well as we were, because we didn't know anything more than they were hearing on the news. We also created, a little bit like what Adrian said, not as complex, but we created a COVID-19 and wellbeing site for the learners, which give them interactive links so that they could visit sites that would help them with the wellbeing. They would have just little different tools on there. There'd be a letter for the parents and lots of different things that we would update regularly so that the the students and the parents understood what was going on the same as what we did. What we then had to do is really think about, because we were working on a rota system, what type of CPD could we take advantage of during this time, and not just use it as a time of fear, but use it as a time for advantage. And so what we did is we really enhanced and developed our CPD development, looking at what different aspects that we could actually look at for staff to really engage with. We did have quite a few reluctant or technophobes, as you would say, in work. So we needed to give them a safe place and a place that they could do online CPD to help develop in their career. We used the presentation tool to create our own in-house training as well for staff, so that we could then look at what they were doing. They could answer questions, so that we had actually some feedback of what they'd learned. We went through quite a huge curriculum change just before COVID, and it was about to be launched as we were going into lockdown. So that was kind of off-put. So what we had to do is kind of think cleverly about how we can just drip feed some of that new information into there, and using the presentation tool on Frog was absolutely fantastic for that. We then developed something called a tech lab. So within the tech lab, what we did is we looked at what different systems would staff either need to use at work, or systems that would be enjoyable to work with. So Photoshop or iMovie might be something that someone might take up and enhance their skills. Or it might have been the fact that we're using Teams at work, because a lot of our meetings then became Teams. So what we did is we created video tutorials that were created by the staff for the staff. These were also used with some students. So for instance, when they were doing iMovie in class, they were using the same as what the teachers would use. We also linked quite a lot of things to podcasts, and just giving them as much information as they could. Podcasts, reading materials, everything like that was kind of at their disposal. In terms of the learning, so what we did is we created staff videos. And again, it's been said 1 or 2 times today, it's so good for the learners to see the face of the teacher, to hear the teacher's voice. It makes all of the difference. Sometimes using the YouTube videos, you can kind of lose them, but when they see their teacher there, see their teacher doing the work, it really encouraged them. And the feedback we got from the students, some funny, but it was really, really, really good. We then also created, using the Hotspot tool, which was fantastic. We created interactive knowledge organisers. So this was for the year 11s at the time that were going to be doing their exams. And this is before we knew anything happening about the exams. We created interactive knowledge organisers, so that, say, for instance, with the poppies, they would be able to click any single line and that would tell them what that line was about. So they could take notes and they could get feedback, and they would be able to move on with the questions that we'd give them. We've done exam revision, which you can see on there for the students. And that's just inside. So this would be the maths, where they would get the past papers, the useful links, the resources, and then it would link to the actual maths site, which had all of the resources that we would use anyway. Over lockdown, what we've struggled with is modern foreign language within our setting. Our learners are from a very disadvantaged background, and it was sometimes quite difficult to introduce that into the curriculum. What we'd found over COVID is using Duolingo as an app was really, really successful. We also used Frog to bring that in as a helpful tool. We also then encouraged them to cook at home using some Spanish recipes, and we changed them every week. So for the staff, because we were working in bubbles and because the staff were working on rotas, sometimes we didn't have the specialists that we needed in school at the time. We are a very small school due to the cohort that we've got. So sometimes we had teachers that were teaching lessons that weren't their subject. So what we did is we had each subject create a special COVID curriculum for their subject that was easily accessible. And with the use of the videos from the teachers, they were able to then teach in the classroom in their bubble. So looking forward to the future. So what can we take from this and the new way of working? So I've just got a video of my CEO just talking quickly of how she's felt around the pandemic and Frog.
I'm Christina Jones. I'm Chief Executive of River Tees Multi-Academy Trust. We work with learners who are highly disadvantaged, who've been excluded from school or who can't attend their mainstream school due to health issues. So having an online learning platform has been fundamental to the work we do over the last few years. During the last few weeks, during the unprecedented times of the COVID pandemic, we've really been able to develop our expertise using the platform. We've had really good feedback from learners, parents, and our staff about how easy it's been to use. And moving forward, we're going to make it a key element of our blended learning offer. We recognise some learners might have emotionally based school avoidance or might have anxieties that mean they're less likely to be able to cope with a full in-school day. Having a learning platform like Frog means that we can really offer them a high quality learning experience that we're still assessing and in line with other learners who may be on different blended offers